A coroner is a government or judicial official who is empowered to conduct or order an inquest into the manner or cause of death, and to investigate or confirm the identity of an unknown person who has been found dead within the coroner's jurisdiction. In medieval times, English coroners were crown officials who held financial powers and conducted some judicial investigations in order to counterbalance the power of sheriffs. Depending on the jurisdiction, the coroner may adjudge the cause of death personally, or may act as the presiding officer of a special court. The term coroner derives from the same source as the word crown. Responsibilities of the coroner may include overseeing the investigation and certification of deaths related to mass disasters that occur within the coroner's jurisdiction. A coroner's office typically maintains death records of those who have died within the coroner's jurisdiction. The additional roles that a coroner may oversee in judicial investigations may be subject to the attainment of suitable legal and medical qualifications. The qualifications required of a coroner vary significantly between jurisdictions, and are described under the entry for each jurisdiction. Coroners, medical examiners, and forensic pathologists are different professions. They have different roles and responsibilities. The office of coroner originated in medieval England and has been adopted in many countries whose legal systems have at some time been subject to English or United Kingdom law. In Middle English, the word coroner referred to an officer of the crown, derived from the French couron and Latin corona, meaning crown. The office of the coroner dates from approximately the 11th century. Shortly after the Norman conquest of England in 1066, the office of coroner was established by Lex Scriptor in Richard I's England. In September 1194, it was decreed by Article 20 of the Articles of Eyre to establish the office of Custos Placitum Coronae, from which the word coroner is derived. This role provided a local county official whose primary duty was to protect the financial interest of the Crown in criminal proceedings. The office of coroner is, in many instances, a necessary substitute for if the sheriff is interested in a suit, or if he is of affinity with one of the parties to a suit. The coroner must execute and return the process of the courts of justice. This role was qualified in Chapter 24 of Magna Carta in 1215, which states, "No sheriff, constable, coroner or bailiff shall hold pleas of our crown." Keeping the pleas was an administrative task, while holding the pleas was a judicial one that was not assigned to the locally resident coroner, but left to judges who traveled around the country holding assize courts. The role of custos rotulorum or keeper of the county records became an independent office, which after 1836 was held by the Lord Lieutenant of each county. The person who found a body from a death thought sudden or unnatural was required to raise the hooey and cry and to notify the coroner, while coronial manuals written for sheriffs, bailiffs, justices of the peace and coroners were published in the 16th and 17th centuries. Handbooks specifically written for coroners were distributed in England in the 18th century. Coroners were introduced into Wales following its military conquest by Edward I of England in 1282. Through the Statute of Rutland in 1284. Going further back in time, we find that the term comes from antiquity, namely when the deceased was entrusted to the coronator, that is to a necrophore who prepared the corpse according to custom and, among other things, put a small laurel or myrtle wreath. The history of the office of coroner extends well over a millennium and has seen major evolution. etc. Australian coroners are responsible for investigating and determining the cause of death for those cases reported to them. In all states and territories, a coroner is a magistrate with legal training and is attached to a local court. 4 states, New South Wales, South Australia, Victoria and Western Australia, also have state coroners in specialised coronial courts. In Tasmania, the Chief Magistrate also acts as the state coroner. The office of coroner was transplanted to Canada from the British-derived system of government that existed in the land prior to 1867. Because of the grafting of a multicultural system, especially after the 1982 Charter of Rights and Freedoms, Several provinces have found it beneficial to use the focused, medical examiner style of investigative reporter. In 21st century Canada, the officer responsible for investigating all unnatural and natural, unexpected, unexplained, or unattended deaths goes under the title coroner or medical examiner, depending on location. They do not determine civil or criminal responsibility, but instead make and offer recommendations to improve public safety and prevention of death in